Justice Juan Merchan is not putting up with Trump lawyer Todd Blanche.
Oh no!
At a hearing on Tuesday, Blanche was defending the former president's decision to go after people on his platform.
Truth, essential.
Who are involved with this Manhattan trial, despite the fact that there is a gag order that Trump continues to, violate at least 10 times. That gag order is supposed to prevent Trump from attacking witnesses, court staff, jurors, and family members of those who were involved in the trial. But again, Trump cannot help himself. So yes, he's going to repost things. And so that's where the argument from Trump's lawyer comes into play. So they argue that, well, he's not actually, writing these things. He's just reposting stuff. And he doesn't necessarily agree with the things that he's reposting. He's just reposting it. Shouldn't he have the First Amendment freedom to repost attacks against his political enemies? Well, that's the decision before Justice Merchan. So now, according to reporters from the New York Times and other outlets present in the courtroom, Merchan had informed Blanche as he was making his arguments that he was, quote, losing credibility. This gag order, Blanche told the judge in response, we're trying to comply with it. We're trying to comply. Really? Sure about that?
Really?
Because it's not what it looks like. All right. In fact, earlier today, Trump had written on Truth Social, highly conflicted, to put it mildly, Judge Juan Merchan has taken away my constitutional right to free speech. Everybody's allowed to talk and lie about me, but I'm not allowed to defend myself. This is a kangaroo court, and the judge should recuse himself. I don't know, it kind of sounds like an attack on the judge. I'm just saying. Now, to be fair, that happened after the hearing about the gag order. So, nonetheless, during that hearing, Blanche got into a tense back and forth with Merchan over the argument that Trump's reposts on Truth Social do not fall under the guidelines of the gag order. So what Trump likes to do is, again, repost attacks against the judge, the court, their families, legal system, all of that to his followers on Truth Social, of which he has a few. Trump had even shared a quote from Fox News host Jesse Waters, in which he claimed that they were, quote, catching liberal activists lying to the judge in the hush money trial in order to get on the jury, which is not what's happening. And by the way, now the projection, because you had MAGA influencers saying, why don't you just lie to get on the jury and then vote to, basically throw the trial, do a hung jury so that Trump can win and then win the White House. And so, yeah. Now, Trump had shared one line from the larger comments Waters had made. And of course, the judge was not happy about this and said that your client had manipulated what was said and put it in quotes. The judge told Blanche, arguing that Trump's post was simply quoting one line from Waters and was not a repost. Blanche argued that reposts are Trump confronting, quote unquote, two systems of justice, to which Merchan had asked him, there's two systems of justice in this courtroom? That's what you're saying? Ooh, not a good idea when you're in the courtroom to say that you were unfair and biased towards me to my face. Especially if you don't have any evidence of that. Merchan pushed back against Blanche's argument that reposts on social media would not violate the gag order, arguing that the act is not passive, which, yes, you have to find and repost things to your followers. It's not a passive thing. Sure, it's a, active, doesn't take a lot of work, but you still have to find the things. And so if you own a huge platform like Donald Trump does, you generally would use reposts as a way to amplify your message or amplify your statements or amplify things that you agree with. I mean, it makes sense to me. Now, when asked what case law backed up the claims, Blanche had said, quote, I don't have any case law, but the argument is common sense. Once again, the common sense here is if you repost something, you generally are amplifying it for a reason. Either you agree with it or you want to challenge it, to which you will add additional context or counter argument to the repost. But in a lot of these, Trump, yes, he'll add commentary once in a while, or he'll just repost the quote specifically. Well, I mean, that would imply that you agree with said post. Again, if you're quoting something without an argument, stands to reason by common sense, your own logic, that yes, you agree with it. And if you are agreeing with statements that attack the court, the judges, the jury, their families, whatever, well, that would seem to be a violation of the gag order, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? If you're agreeing with these statements and amplifying them? Look, I know this is in some gray ground, right? This is a gray area, I should say. Because this is not something that has been... I don't think there's a lot of huge court precedents involving social media, because social media is kind of a newish thing, right? And so what Trump is doing, though, in my opinion, is yes, he is amplifying attacks. He is using his outsized, power to indirectly attack through other people, through proxies, the justice system that happens to be attempting to hold him accountable. So I think that, in my view, seems to be a violation of the gag order. Now, MSNBC's Vaughn Hilliard reported that Blanche had met the scorn of Judge Merchan and was struggling in court as the judge struggled to understand the lawyer's arguments. Well, I mean, you can't really understand the argument because it's not a good one. It's a terrible one, okay? And he's just trying to find anything he can to try to remove that gag order, okay? Now, for posts from Trump that were not reposts from other accounts, Blanche argued that those were responses from attacks from Daniels and others, Stormy Daniels specifically. Look, can you defend yourself? Okay, yeah, sure. But where's the post that Trump's responding to? Well, it turns out when asked, he couldn't name them. In fact, Merchant said, "You've presented nothing. I've asked you 8 or 9 times. Show me the exact post that he was responding to. You've not been able to show, you've not even been able to do that once." So another thing that Trump has been doing is using social media to attack Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen happens to be one of the lead witnesses against Trump in this particular trial. So that would absolutely be a violation of the gag order because he is a witness. You're not supposed to intimidate witnesses. And so, yeah, here you go. Even if, by the way, that person also happens to say some negative things about you, as Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels have. So, that said, a lot of people saying a lot of mean things about Trump online. There's no doubt about that. So you would think that if the lawyer's going to be making this argument as a grounds for removing this gag order, you'd think they'd have a couple of examples of that. A couple of examples of direct posts that the former president, was responding to and defending himself, if you're going to make that argument. But he has nothing. He had nothing. And here's the funny thing. Trump puts himself into a bubble. We know that. He only reposts things that, support his narrative or attack his enemies or defend him. And so he can't really show any evidence of that, of any of these attacks, because he doesn't listen to them. And on that, I suppose I don't really blame him for listening to all that criticism, because it'd drive you crazy. But at the end of the day, if you're going to make the argument that, hey, I'm just responding to attacks, and that's my, I should be able to defend myself using social media from all these people that are saying these horrible things about me, well, then you should at least have some example of that. And the fact that he doesn't, well, it really speaks volumes. Now, prosecutors finally did ask Merchan to fine Trump for these violations of the gag order. In fact, they asked for $10,000. Now, according to Reuters, however, Merchan is, he hasn't made a decision on it yet. He's going to take his time. He's going to think on it for a while before making his ruling. So that's a big loss for Trump today, not having that gag order rescinded. And I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon based on Trump's own actions. Hey, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.